Buying a Realme phone felt almost illegal. You opened the box, looked at the receipt, and the math simply didn't make sense. But look at their product lineup today. The exact same brand that built its entire identity on hyper-affordable devices is suddenly pushing phones for 25, 30, even 40,000 rupees. It raises a question about how tech brands actually grow. Did Realme abandon the budget users who built their empire, or did the economics of the market force their hand? This shift highlights a friction that most hardware startups eventually face. Winning customers with rock-bottom prices is one thing. Actually building a business that can afford to exist 5 years from now is another entirely. To understand why, we have to look at the Indian smartphone market in 2018. It was total chaos. Flash sales, out-of-stock banners, and brands aggressively undercutting each other purely on specifications. When Realme entered, they realized something crucial about young buyers. These consumers didn't just want a device that was cheap. They wanted a phone that made them feel like they outsmarted the system. They engineered that feeling. They packed in massive batteries, fast charging, and aggressive processors, wrapping them in highly reflective, futuristic designs. A 9,000 rupee phone suddenly looked like it cost double. Consumers responded. Realme cultivated a massive following of users who viewed themselves as savvy tech enthusiasts making the ultimate smart decision. But achieving massive consumer popularity through budget pricing does not automatically create a sustainable profit engine. This illustrates the margin trap. Massive sales volume is stripped by expenses to a paper-thin profit margin. To keep users, brands fight over tiny discounts, killing loyalty. Simultaneously, rising component costs, like 5G chips and batteries, physically crush that remaining margin. The trap snapped shut when every other manufacturer, Xiaomi, Poco, Motorola, copied the exact same playbook. Everyone entered the same battlefield at once. For the buyer, shopping for a budget phone devolved into choice fatigue, opening 20 browser tabs, reading identical spec sheets, and solving a cold math problem instead of connecting with a brand. When an entire industry turns its core product into a pure commodity, a brand can either fight for pennies at the bottom or attempt to shift the terms of the fight entirely. Realme pivoted. Right as the budget space became suffocating, the Indian market went through a structural shift where consumers displayed a willingness to spend more on tech. The phone moved from a gadget to a necessity. People weren't just checking emails, they were managing entire careers, processing digital payments, and building identities through content. As the device became the primary tool for work and status, users began keeping their phones longer and investing more upfront. Realme seized this momentum. They aggressively pushed higher-tier product lines like the GT and Premium Number series, targeting the 20 to 35,000 rupee bracket, where profits were actually healthy. To pull this off, they relied on the halo shift. By introducing one highly visible, premium hero product at the top, the perceived value of the brand changes. That top-tier glow pulls the entire ecosystem upward, making cheaper phones underneath feel more desirable. Realme still makes affordable devices. They simply stopped letting those cheap phones dictate their entire corporate identity, securing better margins while upgrading their image. But every strategic pivot leaves casualties. As Realme flooded the market with more expensive, premium-looking models, their original fans felt alienated and confused. Early buyers were deeply attached to the underdog energy of the brand. When Realme upgraded its aesthetic, those adopters experienced a real sense of betrayal. This is the inherent danger of identity confusion. When a company moves up market, the very things that made it lovable, accessible pricing, and raw value, are often the first things stripped away. Alienating your vocal early supporters is rarely a mistake. It is the unavoidable collateral damage of a business deciding to survive the next decade. Because massive sales volume without a sustainable profit margin is just a delayed path to collapse. You can ship millions of units and still go bankrupt. Business maturity happens in phases. Selling cheap gets the market's attention, but building healthy margins creates the architecture for long-term durability. Realme understood this. They evolved from an aggressive, low-margin spec monster into a perception-driven lifestyle brand. They traded pure volume for pricing power. The hardware market is unforgiving. If your entire operation relies exclusively on being the cheapest option on the shelf, you will eventually be replaced by someone even cheaper. Realme's evolution suggests a paradox of growth. The high-risk, low-margin sprint required to break into the market is often the very thing that must be left behind to survive the marathon.